Hello everyone, Maurice and welcome to Things Invest. Talk about investing, finance, fresh development. For today's video terms only, the investment on top of today will be Ethereum ticker ETH. I know it's my second video that I'm posting again today, and as of recording time of 4:17 p.m. on the Eastern Time, currently $3,147, up about 1.01% so far. It seems like we're just kind of hovering on a sideways fashion, staying around the comfort level of 3,150. With a slight sell-off earlier today with respect to dipping all the way to the $3,051 because of the COVID variant news that got spread in the media affectation front, and subsequently shake off the market a little bit, right? Not just specifically in crypto market or specifically for Ethereum, but across the whole entire financial market, right? And also with respect to some of the news that have been percolating so far, and I've been keeping tabs, right? I was out the whole entire day after the early morning recording. I was just in meetings. I also went to the gym a little bit. At the same time, I did a little shopping. I was just looking for some light trousers, for fall coming up. So it was a relatively productive day, I would say. So with respect to the news, right, just to keep tabs on the last, I would say 6 to 10 hours so far. The first one that comes on the list will be coming from Decrypt. So Bored Ape NFT sells for over 1 million in Ethereum as market floor rises. So this is another art, another type of meme, type of artistic investments that's percolating, with the stamp of approval using the value proposition of Ethereum. So it's interesting, that we are seeing this cultivations of NFT, popularity, if you may, right? So another one that's coming out from Bitcoin list. With respect to Ethereum trading volume, this is more of a juxtaposition news, right? Comparing with respect to Bitcoin in the basically the first quarter of 2021, right? It seems like there is a lot more popularity among Ethereum investors versus the populations of Bitcoin investors, right? And that translates into a higher trading volume at the same time. So that's an interesting depiction, but I think it's kind of obvious with respect to the surge, in terms of percentage, versus Bitcoin has been surging, right? So in just the last quarter, right? I know we're in Q2 right now, but I think in Q1 it also happened in kind of comparable dynamics, but Q2 is a little bit more severe. But obviously Q2 is not completed yet, so I think that's just more of a regurgitation of old news. And then some other news coming from Fortune 4 hours ago is talking about like with respect to the pet rocks, the NFT pet rocks. And the article is basically depicting that there are some people, I don't know what kind of people these are, they're buying $200,000 worth of NFT of pet rocks. So I don't understand. I'm not an artistic person. I can appreciate art, but I don't understand a pet rock in an NFT format, which is technically a virtual pet rock. I guess is to each his own, right? People have different perspective on what arts, what's the meaning behind the arts, right? So, anyways, another good news is with respect to Decrypt about 6 hours ago. So Venmo is one of those commerce exchange like mobile app type of infrastructure, and it currently, based on news that I see on Decrypt, the verbiage describing that Venmo is adding Bitcoin and Ethereum credit card rewards onto that platform. So Venmo is one of those like very popular mobile commerce or fintech exchange app comparable like a PayPal or like a Chase Quick Pay, if you may. So with the addition of Bitcoin and Ethereum credit card rewards, and subsequent, I do foresee maybe even an options for people to exchange cryptocurrencies or assets going forward on Venmo app. Another step of approval from one of the largest fintech app or company in the world, right? So another great news, obviously, and then some of the news is really talking about, and this is more regurgitation news that we kind of talked about earlier this morning already. With respect to the surging pressure that Ethereum has the impact on the overall market, right? So historically we know that Bitcoin used to be the one, the mother lord, the big dog that basically drags up the whole market to go up. It seems that Ethereum is kind of taking over that affectation as the overall market dynamics. It's providing some drag effects, right? And the article on Bazinga is basically talking about, Ethereum basically has the potential to drag up the overall market to ideally drag up Bitcoin to also hit $100,000 by the year in 2021 as well. So obviously, great collections of positive news despite the early sell-off that we had with the COVID variant news. So I'm gonna go through technical analysis again. It seems like we're just kind of trading on a sideways fashion. Maybe, if we're gonna be trading on a sideways fashion like this, would this be a good idea for us to swing trade going forward? What are the framework reference should we be swing trading at if you want to look for more of a short-term gains? So stay tuned, Instagram, let's make some money. So moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticker ETH, I'm recording this at 4:23 p.m. on Eastern time. Current trend like $3,148, up about 1.13% today. So with respect to today's sell-off, we hit all the way to the $3,051, right? And we hit all-time high today to the $3,236. So we kind of normalize that back into our comfort zone again. Like I keep saying, right? $3,150, right? So let's take a look at the chart real quick. You can see that with respect to the MACD, we've been, enduring this not like basically normalization or like the lack thereof volatility, if you may, that we are kind of basically stretching out the MACD line at the moment. So that's the ideal perfect case, right? We want to keep stretching this until we normalize and for slowly being depleted, right? And our side was as we further durate the sideways consolidation, we'll build a much higher ground that slowly, with just the normal course of cadence with supply and demand dynamics, that RSI is going to slowly deplete, right? It's going to, basically formalize this curvature downward normally without having huge dip going forward, right? You'll only see huge RSI dip or surge when you see something that's extremely sudden or prompt. And based on the drag, we would ideally love to see this trade on sideways fashion, right? But that's something we have to understand, right? Because we do understand based on the historical, purchasing power, some of the whales did buy in somewhere around like the low 2,600 to the 2,750, right? So potentially, we might be still at the thrill and the early stage of euphoria, types of escalator steps that if there's incentive or some sort of like media manipulation that's coming in later this week or early next week or during this weekend, if you may, that subsequently drive the market to go up, which again, right, the next level, if we go up, which we try to get to today, we did for a brief seconds at 3,225, but again, that level is not substantive, right? The real level is the 3,385. That will be basically the peak of the, I would say, euphoria, and subsequently sell off from there, right? But if we're gonna trade on a sideways fashion, like how would we swing trade this, right? So we know that the frames of reference will be anywhere from below, like basically low 3,000. So you would probably want to buy in at 3,000, like the low 3,000, below 3,051 per the lows, or anywhere below there. And then wait for the surge up to go back up to above like the 3,150, and that could give you like $100 gains if you buy one Ethereum, right? Or depending on how many Ethereum you buy, right? But just know that, knowing the fact that we have basically dragged up for such a long time now, I think 16 to 17 days of consecutive buy days now, that the likelihood of us like normalizing and selling off should be likely. I think the longer we, stay around the current level, the lower likelihood we'll actually go back to the 2,150. I think that's a dream level that we ideally want to get to. So we want to revise, the frames of reference that we have in the technical analysis dollar cost average chart, right? So I think ideally, if you want to buy in currently, I would wait until the $3,000 and then the 2,750 and then 2,450. These are the levels that you want to be buying at. But again, right, we have to understand that the risk is still high. We haven't completely confirmed the consolidation on a sideways. It just might be we're just like maybe pending on another news coming, right? We have heard about the provision, the infrastructure bill, but we might hear other news like coming from the Feds, or we might hear other negative news with respect to the London fork that debuted last week, or any negative implications around there. So we've been talking about a lot of positive. What are the negatives that we haven't learned yet, right? So definitely want to keep your ears open and your spidey sense alert at the same time. But that's the frames of reference that we'll be playing going forward. All right, just to recap on numbers and technical analysis again, right? The current level is 3,150, so maybe ideally buy if you want to swing trade again, right? Buy at the low 3,000 and just like kind of swinging up from there to ideally hit the 3,150 or above, and then sell from there. But again, right, we are relatively stretched for the last 16 to 17 of consecutive buy days. So the likelihood of actually going back to normal, more of a normalized cool down level, we are at the thrill and the early stage of euphoria right now. That 2,750 for me, I do have 55 Ethereum right now. That will be more of an ideal level for me to further build up my position from there, right? Or even ideally 2,450, right? I think the 2,150 that will be a stretch in the near term, but we might get there because like we need to go through the complete cycle, right? That oscillation, in as you saw from the chart that I showed in basically four or five videos ago. But hopefully this is helpful. If you want to swing trade, be cautious. Definitely be alert and be ready, and not be surprised that you might see a sell-off going below 3,000 again, right? But respect to long-term wise, if you buy it now, like that's totally okay, and it's tolerable because 9,800, that will be a 12 months price target, 3.3 times your money if you buy $3,000. Right, so that's it for there. Respect my technical analysis on Ethereum ticket ETH. Again, hopefully this is helpful into giving you that understanding and the structure of how we're going to be, dealing with the volatility or the lack thereof going forward by swing trading, but with that cautious mindset, obviously, right? So hopefully this is helpful, and feel free to give me a shout if you have any questions again. Yeah, stay tuned for this coming up. Take care. Bye.